Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to all the subscribers and big up to anybody new. Let's talk about Tyson Fury's eye. So, personally, okay, there's a lot of talk about the postponement being good for Tyson Fury because he wasn't in the best shape, and he's trying to get back in shape quickly to basically not just to be in shape for the fight, but just to boost his mentality. That's one of the reasons I think he's been acting out of character. Is because he knows deep down he's not really ready. He's not in the best shape he's ever been in, and that a lot of that comes from messing about outside the ring. We can see that in his performance against Ngannou, and just his body type as well. Just his body shape in general hasn't been as tight and as strong as it has been. Well, for a while now. Fury Wilder 2 for me was like, that was his hardest shape. That I was like, wow, he's in great shape there. Obviously, he's getting older, so it's not necessarily possible, but I think the postponement is a bad thing, not because of it being postponed. Obviously, you can't fight with that eye, and I'm not even sure what happened with that. There's obviously a lot of theories out there, which I would entertain as well, but there's no proving anything. But we just have to go along with it for now. It is what it is. It doesn't change anything with how I feel about it. So, you know, did he cut himself in the head? That's a crazy thought, but I wouldn't put it past him. But personally, at the end of the day, the fight's ahead, they're going ahead. It looks like he's not probably even allowed to leave Saudi. I don't even know. It's such a weird situation. But my point is, he has not got enough time to A, rest, B, get back to sparring without having any issues with that eye. Like, at the end of the day, he's not gonna probably be able to train properly for about another month, I would say, maybe more. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I've had eye injuries before from boxing. Nothing anywhere near as serious as that. But I just remember specifically when you're out running and you're trying to do what you know, try and catch up, and you know, you need to rest first of all. But let's just say, you know, you're hard-headed and you want to get ahead of the curve, and it's like, no, I want to just get in shape. You know how much a cut throbs when you're out, or an injury. Doesn't even have to, anybody that has played football or sports or anything, where basketball, if you're in America, whatever, and you have a cut, you know when you're out exercising, that cut starts throbbing, right? Blood starts, sweat getting in it as well, and then you're probably touching it and tampering with it, and you just need to rest it and not touch it for ages. He is not going to be in the luxury a position to do that. So my point is, he's got to take how many weeks off to do nothing? All right, what's that going to do? He's going to be going backwards from an exercise, from a fitness point of view. And who's going to be going forwards? Alexander Usyk. So I'll get onto him in a minute, because he's another reason why I think this postponement works in his favor, which is what Tyson Fury still doesn't seem to really fully understand, what his antics are doing to the likes of Alexander Usyk. It's just reinforcing his mentality and showing the public that Fury's, you know, he's acting out of character. I made a video about Keith Thurman acting out of character. I'll leave the link up here, but the same applies for me. When you do act out of character, you have to look in a little bit. Well, why are they doing that? Because you can't fake being in great shape. You can't fake having a good camp. You can't fake being sharp. You can't fake any of this stuff. And so when you aren't, you know, in great shape and spiritually in the right place, physically, mentally, you're going to try to compensate with that, and your unnatural behavior comes out, which is what's happening, I think. But the cut, how on earth is he going to spar with that? Okay, you got a massive cut there. I mean, it looks horrendous. It really does. So let's just say 5 weeks from now, it probably is going to heal up a little bit better, right? It's not just going to go away. So you got to start training hard, make up for the time that you've just taken off. And let's just say he doesn't take any time off. Then you've got to deal with the eye not getting as healed as it can be. I think that's just inevitable, isn't it, really? When you're running around 3 hours a day, probably, like I said, messing with touching the eye, getting sweat in it, it's going to throb more every day for like weeks on, when it should be resting and healing. And let's just say he does rest it, he's not going to be in that, he's going to lose that time to exercise. It's a lose-lose situation for him. So May 18th, I think, is way too early. Obviously, the Saudis want this date fair play to him, because that's the only way to get that's the only way to get him in the ring, it seems, is put a date, and that $10 million pay, or I think it was like the anyone that pulls out pays 10 million. I would suggest it's a lot more than that, and I would suggest the consequences are far more than that. It's like, you're fighting, that's it. It reminds me of that scene in The Gladiator, where the end scene where he knifes up Russell Crowe, and he's like, conceal the wound, and he basically, Fury, I think his eye's gonna be in a mess. This is just not a prediction, it's just something that I feel is not gonna heal. And when you're sparring as well, are they going to have to take sparring seriously? Are they going to have to say, oh, don't aim for that eye just in case? But yeah, he's going to be basically, I think, conceal the wound, patch it up, and he's going to have to go out there, and basically Usyk's going to have a field day with that eye. And it's probably going to open up in the fight. But another thing I want to talk about is Alexander Usyk, right? There's not many fighters in the world that will use this to their advantage. Usyk's one of them. And this is something I can't quite get my head around why Fury hasn't figured it out, because he's mentally reinforcing Usyk by all these antics that he's been doing, all the insults, all the lies and all the back and forth and the pulling out, and all this is reinforcing Alexander Usyk's situation mentally. He's like a flying DeLorean, and Tyson Fury is the dirt and the can of Coke or whatever it is, and the banana peel they put in the DeLorean to make the car fly. That's what Usyk's doing. It's basic stuff, but how in the world Fury's going to get himself in good shape or better shape? Because he's not going to be able to train properly. He's not going to be able to spar properly. I don't think. These are just my opinions. Let me know your thoughts, because I can't for the life of me see that eye healing whilst being able to do a full camp. So May's, if in an ideal situation you would have that pushed back to the end of the year, but yeah, I think the time off and the postponement, obviously they needed to. I'm not saying that it needed to be postponed, because you can't fight like that now. But if he has cut himself in the eye, it's going to be worse, because the race against time to get healed. And also, one last point is, like, you are what you eat, right? And obviously Fury's been out binging, and we've seen him, he's just getting into all types of trouble in France and kicking cars and stuff like that, and being boozed off his head. Well, that's all the last on and off of his career. So it's not like he lives a clean, healthy life for your body to recover well in the first place. If you do get cuts and you do get injuries, or you have some type of surgery, it depends on how you are, as like how you've been living will help how you can heal. Again, I'm not a doctor. It just seems like common sense to me. But let me know your thoughts. That's it from me. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. As always, it's got to come from here. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. And as always, thanks a lot to the subscribers. Peace and love. I'm out. Boxing on the Edge.